The old house loomed, dark and imposing against the twilight sky. Its silhouette was a stark contrast against the fading light, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch out like ghostly fingers. The house had stood for generations, a silent witness to the passage of time and the lives that had come and gone within its walls. Emma shivered, pulling her cardigan tighter as she stepped inside. The chill in the air was not just from the cold, but from the weight of history that seemed to press down on her. She could almost hear the whispers of the past, echoing through the empty hallways. The air was thick with the scent of dust and decay, a testament to years of neglect. Cobwebs hung like tattered curtains in the corners, and the floorboards creaked under her feet, protesting her intrusion. It was as if the house itself was alive, breathing in the memories of those who had once called it home. Her grandmother's house, now hers. The thought was both comforting and overwhelming. She had spent countless summers here as a child, playing hide-and-seek in the vast rooms and listening to her grandmother's stories by the fireplace. Now those memories seemed to hang in the air, mingling with the dust and shadows. A strange mixture of sadness and anticipation washed over her. She felt a deep sense of loss for her grandmother, but also a flicker of excitement at the thought of uncovering the secrets the house might hold. It was a place of mystery, and she was determined to unravel its stories. She was here to settle the estate, to sift through the remnants of a life lived and memories made. Each item she touched seemed to tell a story, from the old photographs in tarnished frames to the delicate porcelain figurines that lined the shelves. It was a journey through time, a glimpse into her grandmother's world. Emma wandered through the darkened rooms, her footsteps echoing on the wooden floors. The house was a labyrinth of memories, each room a chapter in a story that was both familiar and unknown. She felt a connection to the past, a thread that linked her to the generations that had come before. Each room was a time capsule, filled with furniture draped in white sheets and pictures on the walls, their colours faded with time. The sheets were like shrouds, hiding the past but also preserving it. She could almost see the ghosts of her ancestors moving through the rooms, living their lives in a time long gone. She reached the attic door at the end of the hallway. It stood there silent and foreboding, a gateway to the unknown. The door seemed to hold its breath, waiting for her to make the first move. The chipped paint seemed to flake at her touch, as if warning her not to proceed. It was a barrier, a reminder of the passage of time and the secrets that lay hidden behind it. But Emma was determined. She had come this far, and she wasn't about to turn back now. Ignoring the unease creeping up her spine, Emma pushed the door open. The hinges groaned in protest, and the door swung open with a creak that echoed through the house. It was as if the house itself was waking up, stirring from its long slumber. The attic was cavernous and dark, illuminated only by slivers of moonlight piercing through cracks in the boarded-up windows. The light cast eerie shadows on the walls, creating a dance of light and dark that seemed almost alive. Dust motes danced in the pale beams, swirling like tiny ghosts. They moved in a slow, hypnotic rhythm, as if performing a silent ballet for an audience of one. Emma watched them, mesmerized by their delicate beauty. The air was heavy and still, thick with the scent of decay and something else, something vaguely unsettling. It was a smell she couldn't quite place, a mixture of old wood, dust, and something more elusive, something that sent a shiver down her spine. She took a hesitant step inside, her hand trailing along the rough-hewn beams that supported the roof. The wood was cool and rough under her fingers, a tactile reminder of the house's age and history. She felt a connection to the past, a sense of continuity that was both comforting and eerie. Cobwebs brushed her cheek, sending shivers down her spine. They were like the fingers of ghosts, reaching out to touch her, to remind her of their presence. She swatted them away, her heart pounding in her chest. She swatted them away, her breath catching in her throat as she saw it. A dusty old trunk tucked away in the corner. It was almost hidden, as if it didn't want to be found. But now that she had seen it, she couldn't look away. It was ornately carved, bound with tarnished metal clasps. The designs were intricate, telling a story of their own. She could see the craftsmanship, the care that had gone into creating it. It was a work of art, a piece of history. An air of melancholy seemed to emanate from it, drawing her closer. It was as if the trunk itself was alive, filled with the memories and emotions of those who had owned it. She felt a connection to it, a pull that she couldn't resist. She knelt before it, her fingers tracing the intricate designs. The wood was cool and smooth under her touch, a stark contrast to the rough beams of the attic. She felt a sense of reverence, a respect for the past and the stories it held. This was her inheritance, a link to her grandmother and the generations that had come before, and she was ready to uncover its secrets. The trunk creaked open, resisting her efforts for a moment before yielding to her touch. The sound echoed in the quiet attic, a reminder of the years it had remained undisturbed. The musty scent of old paper and something faintly sweet wafted up, making her wrinkle her nose. It was a smell that spoke of forgotten memories and long-lost secrets hidden away in the shadows of time. Inside, nestled amongst yellowed linens and moth-eaten clothes, lay a doll. It seemed out of place, a relic from a bygone era, waiting patiently for someone to find it. It was a porcelain doll, dressed in a faded blue gown, its once bright golden hair now dull and lifeless. The gown, though tattered, hinted at a time when it was cherished and loved. Emma carefully lifted the doll, cradling it in her arms. She could feel the weight of history in her hands, the stories it might tell if only it could speak. It was heavier than she expected, its porcelain skin surprisingly cold beneath her touch. The chill sent a shiver through her, as if the doll carried the coldness of the past within it. The doll's eyes, a startling blue that seemed to pierce through her, stared blankly ahead. They were unnervingly lifelike, almost as if they held a spark of awareness. There was something about those eyes that sent a shiver down her spine. They seemed almost knowing. It was as if the doll was silently observing her, judging her every move. As she turned the doll over, her fingers brushed against something small and hard pinned to its back. The unexpected discovery made her heart skip a beat. It was a small silver locket tarnished with age. The locket seemed to hold its own secrets, waiting to be unveiled. Curiosity piqued. Emma struggled to pry it open. Her fingers trembled with anticipation, wondering what hidden message it might contain. Inside, she found a tiny scrap of paper, the words "Beware the Whispers" scrawled upon it in faded ink. The message was cryptic, yet it sent a chill down her spine. The attic seemed to grow colder, the air thickening around her. It was as if the very atmosphere was reacting to the discovery, closing in on her. A faint sound, like a whisper, reached her ears. It was barely audible, yet it seemed to resonate within her, stirring a deep sense of unease. She froze, her heart pounding against her ribs. The whisper was growing louder, more insistent, as if trying to convey a message she couldn't quite grasp. The whisper came again, soft and indistinct, seeming to slither around the edges of her awareness. It was like a ghostly presence, unseen but undeniably felt. It was close, too close. The sensation of being watched, of something lurking just out of sight, was overwhelming. She spun around, searching the shadows, but there was nothing there. The attic was empty, yet the feeling of being watched persisted, leaving her with a lingering sense of dread. Emma placed the doll on a nearby trunk, her hands trembling slightly. She needed to leave to escape the suffocating atmosphere of the attic, but her feet felt rooted to the spot, her gaze drawn back to the doll. It was as if an unseen force held her captive, urging her to stay. She tried to shake off the feeling, telling herself it was just her nerves. The house was old, that was all. It was only natural for it to have strange noises. But deep down, a primal fear began to stir within her. The attic, once a place of forgotten treasures, now felt like a prison. The doll's head turned, slowly and deliberately, until its icy blue eyes locked onto hers. Emma gasped, stumbling back in horror. "It's just a doll," she whispered, her voice trembling, but the words rang hollow even to her own ears. The doll's porcelain face, frozen in a look of eerie serenity, seemed to mock her fear. The whispers started again, this time a little louder, a little clearer. They swirled around her, taunting her, their words just out of reach. Panic welled up inside her, threatening to consume her. Emma knew with chilling certainty that she was not alone. Something was here with her, something evil had awoken in this dusty attic. Driven by a need to understand, Emma began searching the attic for any clue to the doll's history. The attic was a labyrinth of forgotten memories, filled with old trunks, dusty furniture and cobweb-covered relics of the past. Each box she opened seemed to tell a story of its own, but none held the answers she sought. She found a small, leather-bound diary tucked beneath a pile of moth-eaten blankets. The diary was worn, its leather cover cracked and faded, hinting at the many years it had been hidden away. The pages were brittle with age, the ink faded but still legible. Each page seemed to whisper secrets of a bygone era, the words carefully penned by a hand long gone. With trembling hands, she opened it and began to read. The first few entries were mundane, detailing daily chores and family events, but soon the tone shifted. The diary belonged to her great-grandmother, Amelia. Emma had heard stories about Amelia, but nothing could have prepared her for what she was about to discover. The entries spoke of a young girl named Anya, orphaned and alone, who had come to live with her family. Amelia described Anya as a quiet, mysterious child with an air of sadness about her. Amelia had befriended Anya, sharing her toys and secrets. They became inseparable, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. One of those toys was the porcelain doll, a gift from Anya's late mother. The doll was beautiful, with delicate features and an almost lifelike appearance. As Emma read on, a chill ran down her spine. The diary entries began to reveal a darker side to Anya's story. The diary entries grew darker, laced with fear and despair. Amelia wrote of strange occurrences that began happening around the house. Amelia wrote of strange occurrences, whispers in the night, objects moving on their own. The once peaceful home had become a place of unease and dread. She believed Anya dabbled in dark magic, her innocent appearance hiding a sinister secret. Amelia's fear grew with each passing day. Amelia feared for her life, convinced the doll was the source of the evil that clung to Anya. The once cherished toy had become a symbol of terror. The last entry in the diary, barely legible, sent a wave of terror crashing over Emma. The words were frantic, filled with a sense of impending doom. "Anya is gone," it read, "vanished without a trace." The words echoed in Emma's mind, filling her with a sense of dread. "But the doll remains. I fear whatever evil possessed her still lingers within its porcelain shell." The doll's presence seemed to cast a dark shadow over everything. "I must destroy it before it's too late." Amelia's final plea was a desperate attempt to rid her family of the curse. But it was already too late. The evil had taken root, and its presence was felt even now, generations later.